I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and round 2 of the 2025 Carcassonne Champions League has started. We will be commencing with a Group G match where the Romanian master with screen name Ervin G will be playing the Latvian, I'm gonna think soon to be master with a screen name napalmEye. The situation in Group G is as follows. We can see that Ervin won his first match against the Taiwanese player with a screen name Yuhai Hanemi 2-1, whereas napalmEye lost his match against the rating favorites of the group, the Vietnamese master with the screen name Portgard. So overall, the skill level in this group seems to be really close, so I expect a lot of tight matches and a lot of tiebreakers at the end of it. So every game is going to matter a little bit today. It's tough to say who's the favorite. So Ervin is, of course, a master, and they have been around the block for a long time, and they have an experience of 18,000 games. They had crossed 700 at multiple points, now rated at a healthy 571. But at the moment, napalmEye, the Latvian player, seems to be in really good shape. They're very close to the peak in their mid-600s. And even though they lost their first match, they were playing against the #1 seed in the group. So I expect this to be roughly an equal matchup. Obviously, I have my sympathies here as the captain of Team Latvia at the World Team Carcassonne Online Championship. So it will not be an unbiased stream by any means. And we'll see who is the starting player in this one. I hope that it is the Latvian, just to get a little bit of that statistical advantage. The table has been created, both players are online, and we're expected to commence any second now. Just Ervin needs to join his game. And join the game he has. We are starting. The Hungarian has... Wait, why did I say Hungarian? Meant the Romanian has the starting player advantage, starts a new city, which is the only possible legal move with this tile. napalmEye with a good tile to start a new city by himself, but the downside is that he's forced to leave an empty city cap. Red is starting a new road, which is actually a slight misstep already straight up. Yeah, so the thing is that, and a misstep, well, actually I'm not sure if that's a misstep from napalmEye. That's an interesting response here. Chooses to start a monastery in a way that puts pressure on this square. Of course, it ends up not maturing as Ervin immediately fills it, but this green monastery is very nicely controlling this road. It's now worth 4 points. Yeah, the reason why this was a misstep, it was actually stronger by Ervin to turn the road the other way, making sure to restrict and control this empty city cap. And as a result of this, Yanis, that's the player with the blue meeples, takes advantage of the city cap, starts a new city by himself. But will this even matter, as Red is trying to build up a really big city over here, and not an easy way for Blue to do something about this. I can see a move, though. The strongest move in this position is to go over here and meeple a 4-point road, whilst also opening up a nice platform at the top for connecting or blocking. An alternative, which would be reasonable, is to just go over here with the road tile facing to the left, trying to break the city straight up, but the choice has been made. Ervin, of course, immediately covers up the city, and as Blue, we have some issues here. I think we need to delay the completion of our cities. Probably we need to go over here right now, adding a point to our monastery and to what's going to ultimately be a shared road, but instead Yanis finishes the city, and I think that is a misstep. The city is just way too urgent. Ervin starts a new monastery, and Yanis gets a monastery off his own. Could probably go over here now. First of all, stacking the monasteries, and second, opening up a square to put pressure on this city. I am a bit nervous that Blue does not seem to be sensing any sense of urgency. when it comes to that city. well, he does now complete it. I mean, he does now create that attacking platform, but Erwin completes the city for 18 points, drop his first farmer, which is something that the Romanian likes to do a lot, but that's okay still. We still have some construction project over here, an extra monastery, a little city piece, and if we get our meeples back soon enough, then we can easily come back into this game. So we're not really behind by this much. It's just something that Blue needs to realize. Probably the move that's strongest here is just adding a monastery point and dropping a farmer. This field will be quite impactful because it already has 2 cities, it's about to have a 3rd one and a boatload of green squares. Giannis now probably needs to spend his last meeple as Erwin starts a new city and leaves an empty city cap with a splitter in what's now the red's part of the field. This is a relatively safe way of doing so, but Erwin gets a monastery tile to get 6 points, equalize Blue's monastery, equalize the field, and also put some pressure on this square. But Giannis immediately with a city cap, 6 points for the Latvian, only -6 on the scoreboard, and all the chances in this game. Erwin with a Dorito tile, probably looking to go over here or over here. Decides to go to the left. It's actually very difficult to block that city, but Giannis happens to draw the one tile that allows him to do so. There are plenty of ways how he can try and mess with Red City. You could just go over here, trying to restrict his options, or you can actually just add the tile to Red directly, which is my preferred move, making sure that Red has to draw one of the 3 remaining Doritos that fit into the square to develop the city. Then the city will grow a bit too large to complete, as then Red will have to fill all these 3 squares, which gives Giannis more than enough time to attack or block that city. And in this particular position, this move is stronger than normal because both splitter tiles have gone out, but a different route is chosen by Giannis, and I can see where he's coming from. I guess he wants Red to force to get a city tile, the vanilla tile that fits into that square. That also kind of makes sense. Why don't I like it though? It's just okay. This city's a bit easier to build up in that scenario, but Blue is now building up his monasteries. He's now 1 step away from getting a meeple back. He now finally gets a meeple back on the left after some deliberation, and only 2 points down on the scoreboard now. So a lot in this game will be decided by the meeple count, and that is because there is a big field. And because Erwin will take a long time to complete his city, and he might not even complete his city at all, because Blue could go over here and start a new city himself and also threaten a block on the square, taking advantage that the quadruple city tile has gone out. So if we place a city cap like this, occupy the other city cap at the top, then we're threatening with any city plus row tile to go over here and block that square completely. And in the event that Erwin successfully covers up with a straight line, hoping for one of the 3 remaining cow tiles, we can always get a city cap, place it over here, and equalize the city. So maybe this is something that Blue was thinking about when choosing this orientation of the blocking tile, that if Red successfully builds up, which they're sort of in the process of doing, we can always bail out from the blocking process and simply use a city cap to equalize the city instead. Blue here in the tank. I can see how this is not the most appealing move, because in this configuration with 2 adjacent city caps like this, since your opponent has the first go, they are more likely to draw the first city cap to finish their city at the top and start obstructing Red City. Wrong city cap, sadly. Well, or maybe not, because this actually turns out to be a very prescient move by Giannis, as had they listened to me, they would have lost the city, because Erwin would have just gone over here and pre-completed himself an 8-point city, an 18-point city rather. So great job for the Latvian doing a more safe move, which I personally think that it was a bit too safe given that we're a bit behind, but it ends up paying off quite nicely. Now, an interesting choice as Red builds up his monastery. So now this is an interesting situation how the two blue monasteries are sandwiched between the two red monasteries. So there isn't a real incentive for either side to complete the monasteries, because if red goes over here, then just red gives both players a meeple back. If blue goes over here, blue gives both players a meeple back. So actually, in no likelihood, these monasteries could stay here trapped for a very long time. Giannis now gets a meeple back. Erwin gets himself 2 points and also a slight advantage in these two roads over here. Now blue will be stuck with his 2-point road piece, whereas 4 points for red is the final count. Straight line for blue, not many things to do. I'm not trying to speak in rhymes, I promise you. He could actually just go crazy and drop a... Wait, actually, that's not that crazy. That's not a bad move at all. Why don't we just spend our last meeple and go over here for a farmer? There's still 8 curves remaining that fit into that square. That would also give us a meeple back. And then this farm is not that difficult to reinvade. We can always complete this city. There's still plenty of city caps remaining. And if we really need to bail out, there are still 3 crossroads that go over here. That would give a meeple back to both blue and red. And there are really not many other things to do in this position. Maybe we could go over here, trying to indirectly protect that square. This move has its weaknesses. So for example, if we go over here, even though in the short term there are fewer tiles, nah, I don't like this move. It is a mistake by Giannis. This is one of his biggest flaws, honestly, that I've seen in his game. That sometimes if he wouldn't see a good use for a tile, then he would just discard it. But it's never the case that you want to discard a tile in Carcassonne. There's always some way to marginally improve your position. For example, what blue could have done, blue could have simply gone over here and tried to obstruct red city at the north. So what was wrong with that? And you see blue does that now. So why not do that in the previous turn when it actually would have been more impactful? Then on this turn, blue could have gone over here, making it already much harder for red to continue to complete the city. Now blue will be taking these 4 points as red obstruct blue's city over here just in time. Yeah, and I think, honestly, there's some chances how this could decide the game, as unlikely as it seems, but trust me. Let me just tell you a scenario. So imagine if there's a tile over here. It actually makes life for Giannis much, much more difficult, and he should now try and obstruct the square at all costs. The reason why this is the case is because it now makes much harder for Erwin to use a Dorito over here productively. Erwin is threatening to draw a Dorito, go over here, and significantly restrict the options for blue. But if we were to place a tile over here as blue, then we would have prepared a blocking attack against red himself. Well, or that also works. We could just draw the dagger immediately. Our 2-outer gets 8 points back, 9 points on the scoreboard. Let's go. Forget anything I just said. But basically, these tiles over here, like this straight line and this curve, if they were to be used to obstruct red city, red's position would have been more difficult. Now it's just sort of moderate, because red can still finish this city. There's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Doritos remaining in the deck. And not that easy to do something about this. Giannis with a straight line. You could just start a new road. Is that lame? I think so. With 2 meeples, you could kind of need to think of something more strategically significant. We are starting to run short on curves, which is why this move and the field connection looks less and less appealing. So that's why if you're going to go for the field, you want to do so as early as possible, whilst there's still many curves in the deck, and whilst you can invade safely. And that's why Giannis chooses not to invade anymore. Even though he must have thought about it, he instead goes for the city block, which makes a lot of sense. there are actually some tiles that he can draw that could be very, very damaging. This one is not quite one of them, although it's tempting to go over here and leave a 50-50 chance of this square being fielded, but in this position, giving your opponent a 50% chance is way too good. So we just need to point out that this is the last tile of its kind. All 3 butterfly tiles have been drawn, and 3 out of 4 starting tiles have been drawn as well. Probably 2 points somewhere is the best course of action. Hi, Wise Maze. Hi, Ian. Hi, Polo Verde. Yeah, and indeed, some quick points are being scored by Giannis. And you see Erwin now gets... Okay, now Giannis needs to think carefully. Erwin continues his city, and there's one move which blocks that city completely. The move that needs to be played is like this with the city cap upwards. Well done. So some good and patient tile counting from the Latvian. Erwin gets quick point, but he will losing this meeple over here, and it's a loss of strategic significance. And I actually question Erwin's move here a little bit. He just took 4 points really quickly, but his position is kind of difficult. If I were Erwin, I would have used this tile over here and tried to overrun this city with a 75% chance, because like otherwise, how are you coming back into this game? You see this idea with the city cap over here, it's still available for both sides. So why don't we do that as the Romanian? Maybe he's optimistic that he can outplay his opponent in the end game, but there's only so much that you can do with one meeple in hand. Giannis, with a straight line. No good places to use it. Is that the time when we drop the last meeple? Not yet, according to him. Erwin tries to block Blue's city. And I think it's going to work quite well for the Romanian, because there's actually only one city cap that's left to fit into the square. The one left-handed dagger. There are also some other sequences available, such as the Road Dorito and another city cap later on. But if Blue gets the Road Dorito, then Red will still have an attacking platform from here. There are also some more far-fetched opportunities, such as the triple city tile with the road, and then a bunch of more city caps, but this is less likely because Blue already needs a triple city over here to try and equalize his 1-point city piece with Erwin's 5-point city piece. A almost meaningless Dorito for napalmEye here, but he actually still has good moves. If I were Giannis, what would I do? So with this move, he can shape the board to his liking. Maybe going over here, just preventing some chances of 6-point field being created. Maybe going over here, making it harder for Erwin to play something here and commit a block. Or maybe just go, yeah, this is what he goes for. Erwin draws the last city cap and starts a new city. napalmEye will, of course, defend. Still hoping for the last Dorito with the road tile. And he'll create a blocking platform against Erwin. But if this city gets blocked, this would be a real route for the Romanian back into the game. Because he's going to score 4 points for the city in all likelihood. That will put him at -3. Blue is going to have his meeple block 3 points compared to this red meeple, which is blocked for 6 points. This is 3 more. So actually, there's just a 1-point difference, but not anymore, as Giannis draws a fantastic tile that would give him 3 points for a road and equalize all the cities over here in the center of the board. Erwin blocks napalmEye's city completely. There can be now no Dorito tiles that fit over here, and this meeple is indeed trapped. But 10 points on the scoreboard, and Still a chance to attack the field if he so chooses. Or maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are actually no curves remaining, so that's interesting. So nobody can drop a farmer over here anymore. What else could happen? Somebody could get the vanilla city cap and finish the shared city for everybody. Then this would give both sides a meeple back, a bit something extra to play for. No good spot to invade the field, just some opportunities to take marginal 6-point fields here, here, here perhaps. A monastery for napalmEye, which you cannot use productively, other than maybe going over here and creating another platform on Ervin's city. It's not worth going over here trying to restrict it, simply because there's all the remaining city caps are field city caps. But maybe that's actually not such a bad idea, because there's still one right-handed dagger remaining, and if we go over here, at the very least, we will be taking away that right-handed dagger option away from Ervin. However, it's also tempting to just wait a move, hope that red does not draw a city cap, and then if we get something like a row tile here, then we're blocking that meeple for good. Well, actually, no, that's not for good, because there's still that right-handed dagger. So we might just do this now, actually. So this move has some marginal utility. Ervin very quickly dumps his tile. Again, but I think this is a mistake. Like, actually, Ervin could have... Yeah, so this is one of the things. I mean, we know, of course, that the Romanian player is the fastest player in the world. Literally, it's quantifiable. He is the world record holder for the quickest one game in the World Team Carcassonne Online Championships. In 61 seconds, he defeated Lawyer of Ukraine, also a master. But this is the moment where he could have thought for a little bit longer. So, for example, going over here was a possible solution. And this would make a bit harder for napalmEye to block his city meeple. Also, a clear mistake here from napalmEye. I'm so surprised. Why would he place the city cap over here when it was possible to go over here and actually try to block Ervin's meeple? Unless this was the last city cap, which I don't think it was. There's still a vanilla city cap. And yeah, I'm really surprised about this. Giannis will win the game nevertheless, but a few win percentage points being sacrificed over here. And also, it's a move which is not that hard to find. I mean, your opponent has a meeple in a vulnerable position. What do you want to do? You want to go block. Well, look at this. This block over here, this restriction over here actually paid off because Ervin drew the city cap, the one and only city cap that did not fit him. Of course, he finished his city finally with the city cap over here. But when he just recovered the meeple back, he was not able to score any points. And the Latvian will be now taking at least one game off the Romanian master and taking a lead in this best-of-3 series. So what's going to be the final point difference? Just over 10 points, is that the case? Oh no, just under 10 points rather. So 9 points is the difference only, which is really not that much. So overall, well-played game, but a couple of imprecisions from both sides, especially from the Romanian in the opening. And those were taking advantage of by the Latvian. +9, 1 napalmEye, 0 Ervin. Where's my scoreboard? We're having ourselves a 3-minute break. So let's see if the Romanian manages to come back. Also, it's not great for them that they were the starting player here, which means that the starting player in the next game will have to be napalmEye. Also, just wanted to point a crucial move where the Latvian did a great job that they didn't listen to me. There was this moment where they chose to invade Ervin's city, which is something that I probably wouldn't have done. And then had they not done that, had they listened to me, they would have like lost this big city. But just in time, just before Ervin drew a cow tile to consolidate here for some 8 points and probably the game decisive advantage, they managed to thwart the development of Red City. So that was an instance of what the Carcassonne brothers would call inspiration. Certainly a very pleasant moment when that happens. Hi, Isna. Suggesting that blue could have won the middle field by creating a platform with the monastery down. Yeah, maybe, but I guess blue didn't have to do that since they were in the lead anyway. And probably why they didn't want to create an invasion platform, because they had a bit of an easy lead. Well, not an easy lead, but somewhat of a lead. They fear the scenario where they create an invasion platform and then Ervin takes a meeple back and then Ervin uses the platform instead. Whereas if the game is tied and Ervin just completes his city, it's actually still not enough for them to win, because look, the difference is 9 points. So this means that Ervin can only score what? Well, a maximum 6 points for a meeple that he would get back. And even the 6 points are a bit difficult. Okay, maybe 7, like for a road or something. With the dagger tile, if they draw the dagger tile as the last, they're still short 2 points. Or 3 points rather, because given the fact that they were a starting player, a tie is no good for them. So the second game has just been created and we're here to catch a start. napalmEye crossing the threshold of 650 again. After this game, overall in good shape, now starting a new city as the starting player with his traditional blue meeples. Ervin still with his typical red, makes the standard response of meepling a road and also making it much harder for napalmEye to complete the city and having the intention of drawing a city tile later and equalizing this city. There are some interesting possibilities available. For example, if napalmEye were to draw something like a city cap, in this position a self-invasion is possible. We ain't gonna see none of that. As a simple equalization of the road, equalization of the city, and Giannis still just 1 tempo ahead with a potential for 8-point city, but it is the Romanian who's the first on the scoreboard with 3 points for the road. But a fantastic tile for Giannis that can allow him to finish his road and meeple a city in a way which controls Red's road. From Red's perspective, this sort of position is incredibly annoying to deal with. There's even some backdoor chances of one of the 3 extenders or one of the 3 remaining cow tiles being placed over here, this meeple connecting to a big ruin over here, and this square being blocked, and then blue winning a huge mini battle of just 1 point for this road for red and like a 15-point ruin for blue. So now it's time to start doing this. There's an easy opportunity for blue to go over here, block the square, and take a 3 points in question. And this is exactly what happens. Ervin, with a city cap, decides to invade, a bit of an interesting choice. But I guess there are some scenarios how he could go over here and draw the last cow tile, a horse tile rather, that fits into the square, overrun a big city, with only 1 horse tile and a shieldless horse tile for that matter available in the deck. This opportunity does not seem to be that likely, but a possibility. Giannis with the first monastery of the game, and look how miserable Ervin's position is. He's forced to use a starting tile in his opponent's city. That's just a huge tactical win for blue. Imagine that you're building a city and your opponent just gives you a city cap. And I can't blame Ervin for this move. He really wants to get out of the situation. His plan is to finish the road maple and try to invade blue's city before it gets completed. And here, a variety of good options for Giannis. Probably I would go for the normal move, just going over here. But if he wants to create a big ruin, he can just go over here straight away, trying to eat up all these points here. Ervin now tries to break Giannis' city, but makes a mistake. This was a very common mistake. Like you always, not always, but in this particular position, it was better to turn the tile the other way, creating 2 invasion platforms rather than 1. Now Giannis very nicely covers up, and there's still plenty of Doritos for him to finish the city. And yeah, the reason why you want to be turning the tile, the cow tile like this, is so that if your opponent covers up with the city cap in one space, you still, as red, have an invasion from the other side. Now Ervin is not able to do anything about this. Instead, he invades Giannis' city, but now Giannis has an excellent opportunity. So take your pick between 2 amazing moves. Move 1 is the normal one. We can go over here and simply threaten the finish of a nice city, which is what I would choose. But move 2 is also super annoying. We can now go over here and all but block Ervin's road, because now that red has invaded blue's city, then the fate of these meeples are pretty much tied, so he might as well block himself, block red, and also block 1 more meeple of red. But I agree with the prioritization here that it is more important to try and threaten the completion of a big city. Ervin now frantically trying to equalize it. Giannis does not get a Dorito, but a pleasant tile to deal with. Monasteries are always welcome, and I would just go ahead and stack here. I think it can be really strong. The reason why stacking is very strong, even though it looks a bit dangerous, in fact it is not dangerous at all, because blue has threats in the other part of the board. All city tiles, which could be used to block these 2 monasteries together, will be used by Ervin to attack this, and that's why Giannis fearlessly meeples the new monasteries. Ervin continues his road, trying to avoid getting blocked. Giannis with a city cap now just needs not to panic. I know it's super tempting to play a move like this. Actually, is it really that bad? Huh. Okay, hear me out. Is it crazy to finish red city and give him 4 points just for a chance to preserve this square over here? There's still 4 tiles that fit over here. With 2 roads facing upwards, it's actually not that easy to access for red and create a blocking platform. I mean, I think it's still not the correct move, but that would be the consent move in this situation for sure. Just a normal move from Giannis, dropping a city cap next to his monastery. Ervin trying to block or create some sort of invasion platform against the city. Giannis, in the meantime, can build up his monasteries quite safely. 2 possible ways of doing it. Could either go over here, or maybe over here, both real options. Ervin now, of course, going to go over here and try to deal with Giannis' city. But blue, in the meantime, can just take safe city cap points, set up the completion of the monastery with a curve. It is a bit unpleasant that this square will be sort of kind of vulnerable, but 4 points are 4 points are 4 points. There was a poem like this. Okay, Ervin now finally blocks Giannis' meeple here. A bit annoying to deal with, but it is what it is. The thing, Ervin actually very often will lose his meeple here as well, just because we're running short on city plus road tiles. And now a big question here for blue. What do we do with this tile? Do we actually go over here and take the 4 points and allow our opponent to block our monasteries? And I think that we do. The reason for this is that in this particular position, a block of 2 monasteries is really unlikely, because many of the blocking tiles are out. So there are only 3 Doritos with a road. There's only 1 horse tile But instead, Giannis makes a okay move, trying to obstruct Ervin's city a little bit, just not in the way that I would have liked. The problem with this move is that it drops a city cap in a place where Giannis cannot take it, because he does not want to take the city cap because that will not create a blocking platform. It was far better to turn the city cap the other way and create a block like this. But a great tile for blue still. He can go over here, rectify his meeple situation by blocking this square. The fate of this city is tied to the fate of this city and to the fate of this road. So that'll be a very strong move here. Yeah, as blue, I would have just taken these 4 points, and I would have ended it without my monasteries, but it's actually quite... That still was quite an unlikely scenario. But Giannis finally with a curve, and again, it's very good. Probably for the second game in a row, not listening to me leads for a better position for the Latvian. So if anything you can learn from this is just don't listen to Alexey too much. Ervin with, I have to say, just a reckless move. As much as I love monasteries, it's just so unlikely to work. Very interesting here. He just decides to go for a 4-point monastery, and Giannis can take his pick between multiple blocks. He goes for this one, which I really like. Now it's a Sophie's Choice block. Ervin needs the same type of starting tile in both places, so he's guaranteed to lose at least one meeple. Blue also could have gone over here, making sure to block the square for good, and also block this square as well, to make sure that Ervin cannot draw a splitter tile to liberate his meeple at the top. This actually probably would even been my preference, but this move certainly makes a lot of sense. One starting tile still remaining. Straight line for Giannis, a pretty easy decision to go over here and block Ervin's meeple, or at least try blocking Ervin's meeple in the short term. It works like a charm. Ervin, with a slight mistake here, should have cleaned off the other city cap. Ends up not mattering as both city caps are being taken. 4 quick points is the move for Giannis here. 6 points down on the scoreboard, but an overall better position, because this city is really precariously placed. Ervin, with a blocking move, isn't that interesting? Trying to block the square, or at least delay its completion. It's actually extremely unlikely to work, because there's so few blocking tiles available. And also, Ervin needs city plus road tiles for his own city. Giannis with a mistake, I think. I think he just forgot about the splitter. So for blue, it's better to go over here and simply block all these 2 squares for good. And also, developing his side of a ruin like this is really not good when his meeple is sandwiched between 2 meeples over here. Because what could happen? With a bunch of Doritos, red could go over here, over here, over here, eat up this side of the city, and then block this square. It actually looks that it is about to happen. Giannis, of course, blocks the splitter option, blocks this meeple for good. Now he finally is going to manage to save his monasteries. This is where now it's no time for 4 points. We really want to get those meeples back. There's still 4 curves remaining. If we go over here, that's just the winning move. We're setting up going over here, dropping a farmer, then taking a 4-point road over here, expanding the field, crushing our opponent with the meeple majority. Or he could do something else? I don't think so. He could invade the city, but that would be really, really misguided. So it does seem that the integrity of these monasteries matters quite a bit. Instead, he takes the greedy 4 points. I don't think that's the move to play, because Ervin is now quite likely to block at least one of those meeples. But what do I know? It's a bit of a... not my favorite move, but I guess red is trying to implement that sort of thing that I was talking about. But red was way better off of going over here first then setting up this opportunity and then kind of making a life for Giannis hard. Because now what blue can do, blue can simply go over here and cut off this red meeple from invasion and just be happy. Instead, Giannis protects his monasteries, which actually makes some sense, because now a curve plus curve sequence works here well enough. Erwin builds up monasteries of his own. Giannis will now complete his monasteries, maybe even drop a farmer. Yeah, farmer is good here just to have the tempo on the field. Now finally gets the lead on the scoreboard, and Erwin now would really want to take this 4-point road, but he hates to be expanding his opponent's field, so he's going just for 2 points, leaving still one chance for Giannis to draw a tile that fits into this square. Blue, now with a Dorito tile, a variety of good moves available, could go over here and cut off red from the invasion, but the move that I prefer is just going over here, blocking this city cap next to a red monastery and making a monastery development a bit of a tricky project. Instead, he goes, cuts off red's meeple, a move that makes a lot of sense. Erwin does not find a good productive use for this curve, simply dumps it, although I might have preferred a couple of other moves. Giannis, with a scoring tile, he could either score 3 points over here. That actually would be really interesting. Okay, so the point of scoring 3 points over here is the fact that you're setting up an 8-point city, which technically only you can benefit, because your opponent needs the same city cap, he needs the starting tile, or actually it's just the starting tile. The only tile that's left to finish this city is the starting tile. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, so if you go over here, you're setting up a coin flip. There's a starting tile available for your opponent. If they get it, they're of course going to finish their city and get a meeple back. But if you get it as blue, you're going to get this 8-point city over here. What are some other options? We could go crazy and maybe go over here and pre-build a 5-point road which goes through a monastery. Or we could go over here, but this wouldn't really accomplish much. We could go over here, just clean off the 4-point city caps next to our opponent. This move would have a couple of downsides. It would actually set up a nice 8-point monastery spot for Erwin, where he could get a meeple here, then draw a curve, get 9 points in a meeple back, then then drop a farm or somewhere, and so on and so on. But still, 4 points are 4 points are 4 points. This has been the motto of the Latvian for the second part of the game, and in the short term it works like a charm, but a brilliant move for Erwin. This is not just dumping of a city cap. He realizes that he's severely behind, and he is now setting up the opportunity for him to draw a splitter and invade the shared city like this, then get a Dorito tile, and then get 18 points at the very least for this completed city and 2 meeples back. This certainly would equalize the game and then some. Giannis, with the road monastery, or with the regular monastery rather, does not have ways to prevent this. He can simply go over here, just trying to create some options for himself to deal with that threat when it comes. Now again, not the easiest tile for the Latvian. He dropped the monastery here to expand his field, but now it's a choice. Does he take 4 points over here, or does he play chicken and simply go over here in order to not allow his opponent to invade? I'm kind of still on the side of 4 points, simply because even though our lead is good, it's not that good that we would sacrifice so much value, because Erwin has a path back into the game through the starting tile that he could just finish his 10-point city and then suddenly be ahead on the scoreboard. And then maybe drop a farmer here and invades like this. And then get another farmer and invades over here. So all is not over. for the Romanian who has barely spent a second. But look at this. Giannis recognizes that he is in the lead and sacrifices 4 points here. Very interesting choice here for the Latvian. Certainly one that we cannot blame him for. Actually, it's probably even correct in terms of the win percentage. And now after that, he can take care of the other threat by going over here and making it much harder for Erwin to complete this city. He could also go over here and completely block this monastery in case this is necessary. He could also use his last meeple to start a 4-point road, but that would be misguided because there are really a lot of things in this position that he needs a meeple for. Erwin with a curve. Now tries to pre-finish his monastery. Great move by Erwin. Straight line for Giannis. That's an opportunity to expand his field. Or maybe go over here, try to accomplish a complete block. But that would be a mistake for a variety of reasons. If we have time, we're going to talk about this. Yeah, and Giannis does indeed just get the field points. Erwin feeling the pressure here. Decides to invade the farm. Actually, cannot blame him for that. Giannis will probably going to help him just because these road points are too much. Or maybe not. How about we just go over here for 8 points and try to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ah, there are no curves remaining. Oh, that's kind of bad. Well, if there are no curves remaining, then yeah, why don't we just go over here, take the 5-point road, because Erwin's going to invade anyway. He still has multiple tiles available. He doesn't have a vanilla city cap that fits here, but he has a bunch of tiles that fit into that square. And I think what Giannis is trying to check whether there are going to still be tiles for him to complete the invasion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's still one straight line remaining. So a block is not great. And a block with the road side down also doesn't work because there's still one T-shaped crossroads available. So just taking the 5 points and sharing the field in a friendly manner seems to be the option. But Giannis could also go here, take 3 points, and try to create an attacking platform on the square, just in case Erwin draws the last Dorito with a road tile. Also with this move, I'm really glad that blue didn't go over here. Because if blue were to go over here, this actually would have been a chance for Erwin to get back into the game. Because if you were to get the Dorito with the road immediately, then suddenly this square, a crucial square for blue to start an attack against the final square of Red City, this square would have already been restricted by Giannis himself. Blue decides to take the 3 points right now. And say that, you know what, you want to connect to my field, why don't you do it? Erwin gets a meeple back from a very hard-fought monastery. Giannis, with a road tile and variety of options, again, he could just take the 5 points and go over here, but instead he decides to take 3 points and make it harder for Erwin to finish his city, which was, I think, technically still possible, because Erwin does get the tile that is needed, but now Giannis gets a splitter tile. And what do we do with it, actually? That's a great question. Which, can Erwin still win this? No, I don't think he can. What's the last tile? I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, it should be a straight line. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's the last tile? I should know this. No city. Is there like some sort of other city cap or an extender, maybe? Ah, maybe one of these guys. I also have a rule about tile counting. If there's one tile that you don't know what it is, then it must be the extender, because this is the tile that is easiest forgotten. So actually this means that this move over here by Giannis was a mistake, it was more precise to turn the road the other way to give him blocking opportunities against this square. Because if the tiles were reversed, if Giannis were to get the extender tile, and if Erwin were to get this, Giannis would not have any way of blocking here. And instead, he decides to block the field invasion, and Erwin will be losing this game by a lot of points. 3 extra points on the scoreboard, an extra monastery, some extra field points, and all Erwin has is this measly 3-point road and this incomplete city over here. 3 points by Erwin and 3 points by Giannis, I presume. Not really any better place to take 3 points. Congrats, Erwin is saying, very begrudgingly. You can feel it in the chat. Yeah, I can feel it, like, all the way from Romania. Yeah, the Latvian wins 2-0. Maybe not something that many of y'all expected, but overall really well played game for the Latvian. A couple of crucial decisions. So, for example, with his lead over here, managed to prevent Red from connecting over here and overrunning the city. Just then this mini battle plagued Red really for a long time, and Blue took advantage of this. The first on the field, fearlessly building up monasteries, because this was also a strategically important decision here, to build up this monastery, which many players would not have done. And this was only possible because Blue was threatening the city on the other side, and so all Erwin's effort went into blocking that city. And whilst he was blocking that city, Giannis was able to build up his monasteries. But the only reason why Blue was able to threaten that city is because of a tactical mistake by the Romanian. When he used this cow tile to try and block it, placing it that way instead of with the other orientation that would keep both platforms for invasion from the left and the right available, put Red into this difficult position. So some of our Romanian fans may not be happy about the run out of tiles. Maybe Red would have been a bit more fortunate had they been able to finish that city earlier, but it's something that actually doesn't really happen often. And so I even said before, at the very start, like, even once Red managed to successfully block the square, that Red in this position loses their meeple as well quite often. So that was an interesting game, and we can see that sometimes just taking your time pays off. Let's see actually how the time stats are doing. Yeah, so how about the difference here? Less than 2 minutes for Erwin and 18.5 minutes for Giannis. So I'm always happy when, like, the more slow player wins. Anyway, but still, Erwin's doing okay in the tournament. He has a win already against the Taiwanese expert last week. All players are pretty much very similar in their skill level and in their rating in this group. So the first 3 spots in the group, which is what you need in order to qualify, are absolutely up for grabs for pretty much anyone. Oh, it did get dark. I kind of realized that. How does it get dark so quickly? It's barely even 4 o'clock. Yeah, so it's been a very, maybe not the most pleasant light for y'all, but I'm gonna remember to turn the lights on next time. Hi, napalmEye, congrats on the win. Yes, Wise Maze, yeah, that little curve probably wasn't the most precise thing, but this is the thing that I was talking about, that even master players sometimes, like, maybe don't think thoroughly these small things that add up. And for example, like, if this were Vladimir, whom we saw yesterday, I'm pretty sure he would have thought about this and just found a use for a curve which is maybe slightly more productive, which maybe helps out shaping the board in a way that would make it easier for Erwin to equalize the field later on. So all these small things that add up. Alrighty, we will be wrapping up shortly. Just need to first remind y'all to meeple the like button, which is important for the algorithm. And in case you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe and click the bell notification for more competitive Carcassonne content like this. There are multiple streams per week, and the Carcassonne Champions League is going to be lasting a really long time. Now, the only thing left to do is just to see what other matches are available soon. And there's one. Today, 4 hours from now, we will be witnessing former champion of Spain, Oscarides, playing against currently the end also of all time, the highest rated player online, Rabbit Rain, who now has achieved 881, I believe, ELO, which is quite obscene. It's 884. So will the former Spanish national champion have what it takes to try and stop that incredible winning streak? We will find out in 4 hours. And of course, there is a match tomorrow. If you're into some more speed Carcassonne, the second fastest player in the world, Mate Tabak, will be playing against Baksha of Thailand. And then after that, more and more matches will be scheduled. And with that, our plans will be clear. So I'm going to see y'all in 4 hours. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm going to see you soon.